If there's one thing I've learned from watching a lot of Earth TV, it's that you can sue anyone for virtually any reason. Got bodied by a forklift at work? Lawsuit. In an accident and your spleen's been shot out through your skull? Lawsuit. Slipped on a sidewalk so fast you broke the rules of physics and ejected your body into space? Better call my lawyer. Diagnosed with mesothelioma? You may be entitled to financial compensation. Yes, things go wrong. Horribly wrong. And sometimes a lawsuit might be needed depending on the situation. But suing another person is so small brain. Gerald Mayo, though? That's a f***ing genius right there. He went for a lawsuit so galaxy brain level, people this smart only come once in a century. Rather than just suing another person for his troubles, he went for the source. Like a true hero, he tried to bring to court the root of all evil himself. Mother-f***ing Satan. I'm Vibby, and on this episode of A Space Alien Explains, Gerald Mayo versus the Devil. Now I'll bet you're wondering how this Gerald Mayo came up with such a brilliant idea.
Crack.
I wish. So a lot of shit was happening during the 1970s, and one of the big issues was religion. Namely, fears of the devil. Horror movies involving satanic themes like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist were hitting the screens, and sure as weren't helping anyone. Anything that didn't make logical sense or was against the norm was automatically assumed to be evil and had to be fixed with some of that good old Jesus. And here's Gerald Mayo. He's been through some shit. At the age of 22, Mayo was broke and in jail at Western Penitentiary in Pittsburgh, a maximum security prison. So clearly one or two things have gone wrong in his life so far. At least one or two. Mayo filed a claim before the United States District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania, in which he alleged that Satan has, on numerous occasions, caused plaintiff misery and unwarranted threats against the will of the plaintiff, that Satan has placed deliberate obstacles in his path and has caused the plaintiff's downfall, which in the end had deprived him of his constitutional rights. Of course, depriving someone of their constitutional rights isn't allowed under United States Code. Satan isn't exactly a government entity you can sue for that kind of thing, but okay, my dude. It's also worth noting that Gerald filed in forma pauperis, which basically means that he was too broke to afford the fees associated with getting a lawyer, and so he was asking for them to be waived. Behold and lay thine eyes upon this horrible truth. The power of your tax dollars at work. Overseeing the case of United States ex-rel Gerald Mayo v. Satan and his staff was U.S. District Court Judge Gerald J. Weber. As expected, Weber couldn't f***ing believe this shit. The first thing he asked was whether or not the devil was even within the court's jurisdiction. Say whatever you want about Western Pennsylvania, but I'm pretty sure hell isn't there. Like, 5% chance hell isn't there. The judge did note that there was some precedence, sort of, for this kind of case when a man in New Hampshire went to trial against Satan over a contract. By the way, that trial wasn't even real. He was making reference to a short story called The Devil and Daniel Webster. Devil went down to Georgia and New Hampshire. He sure hangs around in America a lot, that's pretty weird. Judge Weber noted that, strangely enough, 3 of the 4 requirements for a class action lawsuit were met. Numerosity, typicality, and commonality. Think about it. How many times has someone pulled some bullshit they can't explain and just go with the excuse, the devil made me do it? There was one major detail that ultimately got the case thrown out, and it's incredibly anticlimactic. I didn't think looking into a case this wild would end up giving me blue balls, but you know, new shit happens every day. The reason they couldn't move forward with the case is because Mayo failed to provide an address with which to notify Satan that he was being sued. And even if he did list hell as his legal business address, how exactly would you mail a letter to a metaphysical plane of existence? The judge refused to proceed in forma pauperis and the case was dismissed. It's unknown what became of Gerald Mayo, but he taught us an important lesson that I didn't think even needed to be taught. But humanity ascends to new levels of stupid. Endlessly. If you're gonna serve a lawsuit, make sure whoever you're suing actually exists. Here's to new levels of stupid in 2020. Hi everyone! Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. My birthday was last month, so this week's featured fan art pieces are all the birthday gifts I received. Thanks to Lock the Viking, Excludio A, and Zanimations for the lovely artwork, and links to their pages can be found in the description. As always, here's some comments from the last video. If this episode made you shake your head even harder at frivolous lawsuits, please be sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. If you'd like to support the channel, I have art commissions and a Ko-Fi page available. Buy me a coffee and I can make you a little sketch as a way of saying thanks. Links to all that, as well as links to my social media, are in the description. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you real soon.